One fundamental reason Americans justify our prison system is due to the notion that it generates a safer society. A prominent rationale assumes the harsh conditions of our prisons have what criminologists call a specific deterrent effect, and it goes without saying that while offenders are incapacitated, they aren't out victimizing the community. But is putting the offender behind bars removing the safety problem in its entirety? There is a growing counter-argument that suggests the current conditions of imprisonment may actually increase the exposure to criminogenic risk factors, which leave inmates harboring resentment and a sense of defiance, thus contributing to the chances of recidivism.
Common risk factors that are shown to develop in those who have been incarcerated are the associations with offenders in a school of crime, enduring noxious strains, having conventional social bonds severed, and facing stigmatizing labels. Compelling accounts of inmates' experiences and the resulting mental degradation and propensity for destructive and self-harming behaviors take place in solitary confinement. Legal director at the ACLU of Maine, Zachary Hayden, states that it is bad enough that we should destroy an individual's ability to cope and capacity for rational thought. The residual effects of isolation most commonly manifest as a continued intolerance of social interaction, an incredible obstacle for those trying to find jobs and maintain social connections and family relationships. In summary, it is unlikely that inmates will be able to take their place in society as a responsible and productive member of communities. That makes us all less safe and secure. In addition to the point of damaged relationships, collateral damage to inmates, partners, children, extended family, and any positive friendship networks occurs while in prison. Relationships of the women and children in prisoners' lives are destabilized due to burdens on time and finances. Other damages are inflicted by law and social practice. These include denial of public housing access, welfare benefits, some college loans and grants, the right to vote, the right to live or work in certain places, and requirements to register with local authorities. Prisoners are also claimed to be dumping grounds for the mentally ill, where mental health care is woefully inadequate. The outcome of this is that released prisoners return to their communities no better off, or in many instances, worse off than they were before being incarcerated.
Furthermore, the majority of those in prison are released after fulfilling their sentences. The U.S. has found it challenging to help them re-enter and flourish back into society. Usually these released inmates return back to the area they last lived in. For many, this means returning to their poor and socially isolated community. A great number of prisoners enter the system with mental, drug, or alcohol problems. For the most part, these individuals receive little to no treatment during their imprisonment. The risk for their lack of treatment or counseling is due to low funding for rehabilitation programs and closing of the state mental organizations. So how can we stop this cycle? This is an enormously complex question, but there is enough troubling evidence of the ways in which our prison system is failing our society that some alternatives are being studied. In the last decade, Scandinavian countries have opened a number of low-security, village-style prison communities that focus less on caging prisoners and more on educating and socializing them. Instead of institutionalizing prisoners' issues such as mental illness, alcoholism, family dysfunction, and addiction, these new facilities attempt to create an environment that addresses issues and allows individuals to experience functional behavior in a positive society. There is no prison wall, but prisoners have strict curfews and wear a monitoring bracelet when they go to town. In 2015, 2 North Dakota prison chiefs were so inspired by Norway's humane prisons that they opened a minimum security facility in their state employing the same humane and nurturing ideology. Another movement toward rehabilitation in more traditional prisons is college behind bars. Thousands of students have participated in programs at San Quentin and in the New York State prison system. Educational opportunities in prison can increase job opportunities after release and substantially reduce recidivism. In New York prisons, only 4% of prisoners who took courses return to prison, while there's a 40% recidivism rate in the New York State prison system.